J'ai jamais... What? C'est quoi l'heure actuelle? C'est quoi cette affaire-là? Pouvez-vous me mettre en Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, s'il vous plaît? Ce serait gentil. Bon. OK. Entrée l'heure actuelle. Alors là, présentement, il est 20h. 8h PM. Oui, on est d'accord. 44. Il me fait là. 47. Checkez bien ça. Quand il va être 45 piles, m'appuyer. Overwatch 2, fuck off. Merci beaucoup, Yvolda. Le coulon est où, Dub? A disparu. Attendez. Avant de commencer, est-ce que je peux vous dire quelque chose? What the fuck, ça commence demain? Je suis là. Ok. Merci d'avoir vraiment réglé l'heure les 2 fois où vous avez lancé le jeu. Hein? Merci d'avoir vraiment réglé l'heure les 2 fois où vous avez lancé le jeu. What the fuck, tout à l'heure, j'ai mis l'heure parce que je voulais voir si le jeu il était capable de se lancer sur PC et tout. Tant de gens ne prennent pas cette étape au sérieux. Ils laissent l'heure réglée à 12h et basta. Quoi? Mais vous avez pris le temps d'indiquer l'heure et j'en suis reconnaissant. Je sais ainsi que vous vous souciez de votre expérience, votre attention est focalisée sur le jeu. Ah, c'est que ça commence bien! Salut, Fennerin. Bon, j'arrive au bon moment. Salut, Paul. D'ailleurs, je n'ai aucun moyen de vérifier si l'heure que vous avez rentrée est correcte. Je vais vous dire, nous allons passer un marché. Puisque vous faites preuve de tellement de bonne volonté, la prochaine fois que vous lancerez le jeu et verrez cet écran, vous n'aurez qu'à saisir votre heure préférée. Allez-y, choisissez l'heure que vous voulez, même si ce n'est pas là la bonne heure, vous l'avez bien mérité. Sur ce, je vous laisse accéder au jeu. Quoi? Quoi? Ça commence bien, là! Ça commence bien! Non, qu'est-ce que c'est ça? J'ai appuyé à côté. C'est correct. C'est gentil, c'est parfait ça. Pour vrai, là, ceux qui connaissent pas le jeu, vous êtes pas prêts, là. C'est que des conneries comme ça, genre. Alors là, ce que je vais vous demander, c'est de ce soir, si vous êtes. En tout cas, si vous faites de quoi à côté, peut-être de porter attention au moins les 15 premières minutes, voir si ça vous plaît. Parce que si vous n'êtes pas habitué à l'anglais, le narrateur est anglais, il est british, mais tout est sous-titré en français. Puis il va falloir que je fasse des choix. Il va falloir que je vive l'expérience, je vive l'histoire. Pour ceux qui connaissent pas Stanley Parable, c'est qu'il y a un narrateur qui raconte notre vie. Puis nous, soit qu'on fait, soit qu'on suit la ligne droite, ou soit qu'on dévie. Il y a plein de fins, c'est plein d'humour, c'est brillant, c'est plein de surprises. Vous voyez, comme là, genre, j'ai été surpris, je pense qu'il n'y avait pas ça dans le jeu de base dans le temps. Et ça commence. Non, j'ai cliqué pour passer, quel con. Attendez, y a-tu moyen de recommencer le jeu? Attendez une minute. Je veux voir le... Ah, ok, c'est bon.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
Salut, Falbook.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Et voilà.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ça commence comme ça. Je suis pas une touche, tu vois une fin. Ouais, je connais un peu le principe. Je pourrais rester là puis rien faire. Puis faire, ouais, qu'est-ce qui se passe? Fait que là, je peux vous jaser par exemple. Salut Mimi Mienne, ça va bien? Quoique, je pourrais aussi juste jouer. J'ai envie de vivre mon expérience.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ça va me rappeler des trucs.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Fait que là, il me dit, je vais prendre la porte gauche. Mais si j'ai pas envie de prendre la porte gauche, je vais aller vers la droite.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Je me rappelle plus c'est quoi les touches.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ça va pas bien.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you forgot. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully,
no.
This is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Oh, il y a une porte bleue.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map, because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what, let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go.
Oh!
A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Aha! You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Ah! Stanley Parable, World... C'est quoi cette affaire? Ah, quelqu'un qui a fini le jeu? Un leaderboard, man. Un leaderboard! Parce que dans tous les autres jeux, il y a ça. This is you. Non! On est mauvais! Le dernier joueur. Attends une minute. Y a-tu moyen de... d'aller là? Ah non, attends. Non!
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
Oui, ça
Hey,
va être
I
beaucoup.
nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game,
Oh,
the
no!
baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Non! Ah, pas pendant 4 heures! Ok, c'est bon, meurs. Non. Non. Ok, je fais pas ça pendant 4 heures. Meurs!
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
What the fuck? On est dans Firewatch!
What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley.
J'ai jamais
And
fait.
it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Attends une minute, on est dans Firewatch, je pense. Oui, je pense que c'est ça, genre, c'est un peu genre cel shading, tout. Ça, il n'y avait pas ça dans le jeu de base, parce que Stanley Parable, il est sorti avant Firewatch. Ben des années avant. C'est le même studio, je pense.
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off.
Non!
Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it.
Open world.
We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
Il nous a vraiment fermés.
Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
On est dans Rocket League!
See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
Ah, les références sont nice. Ils ont tellement ajouté du nouveau contenu, c'est tellement
What do
nice.
we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Oui! C'est parti, regardez ça! Enfin du Rocket League! Hein?
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought. And I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball. Yes! Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm
Tu vas en mettre
insatiable.
plein, on gage dessus?
More balls!
Oh yeah! Oh oui! Plein de balles! Invite-moi pour jouer!
Enjoying this, Stanley? Are you having fun? Is this a real video game? Well, I
c'est
sure
bon.
hope you're having a good time, because guess what? It's over.
Oh!
That's right. Your little fun comes to an end. This is my game, and what I say goes. You get to have fun when I let you, Stanley. Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I'm structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley.
No.
I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around to set the rules. Somehow, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much. But who knows? You're an inventive kid. You'll come up with something. After all, you're the one who knows best. Take care, Stanley.
C'est quoi qui va arriver? Allô? Attends une minute, je vais essayer d'aller dans un but. Salut Rose, ton jeu de Stanley il coûte combien? Je sais pas, peut-être 22$, je pense. Je pense qu'il est en spécial. Mais comme il vient juste d'être lancé. C'est sur Steam, là. Une vingtaine de piastres. Ah!
Hold on. What are you doing? Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Tu moyen d'allumer la lumière? Non! Je suis tombé! On a-tu une lampe de poche? On avait des lampes de poche. Interagir, accroupir. Les backrooms, genre, je sais pas qu'est-ce qui se passe, mais on devrait vraiment pas être là. Peux-tu aller là? Ou on pouvait aller là? Ça commence bien, là. Ça commence bien. On n'a pas suivi rien des indices. Ah! Il y a de la lumière! Quoi ça? Je pense qu'il est sorti sur les nouvelles consoles. Genre PS5, Xbox. Toutes, là. Quoi je fais, là? C'est du montage vidéo? On dirait bien. Celui qui rame ça bien. Ah!
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
M'a dit, ouais, c'est ça, genre, dès le début, genre, j'ai pas écouté Paul. C'est pas vrai, c'est pas pire. Je me suis dit, j'ai tellement joué à ce jeu-là. Ah! C'est reparti! C'est parti, on est... Ah...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed.
Ok, là on va écouter, ok? On va voir qu'est-ce que ça fait quand on écoute. Parce que je me rappelle plus de la première fin. Mais toutes les streamers que t'as vus, genre, ils écoutaient. Ok, on va y aller. Fait que ça, si on aurait suivi ça tout à l'heure, c'est là qu'on a arrêté.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
J'ai regardé 4-5 playthroughs il y a déjà plusieurs années. Ouais, c'est ça, genre...
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Voilà en haut. C'est ça, Stanley Parable, moi je me rappelle dans le temps j'y avais joué, c'était vraiment cool. Là. Oh. The fuck is that? Attends une minute, on va aller voir le boss avant. Là.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Je sais pas qu'est-ce qui arrive, hein, mettons tu rentres le mauvais code, genre, y a-tu comme un système de... Le bout de bleu à soir, toujours le bout de bleu. Je vais essayer d'ouvrir cette porte-là, je
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Là, vous voyez, là, il y aurait tellement... Wow, des étincelles! Il y aurait tellement de possibilités, là. Comme là, on aurait pu prendre un ascenseur avant d'aller dans le bureau du patron.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Bon. Escape? Salut Will, ça va bien? C'est moi Will! Ce jeu est incroyable. Pour vrai, il est vraiment nice. On aurait pu prendre l'ascenseur. On aurait pu rentrer le mauvais code pour le truc du boss. On aurait pu prendre la sortie qui était là pour s'échapper. Il y a tellement... Il va falloir refaire plusieurs runs. C'est ça le plaisir de jeu là.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Ça va super bien, Little. Toi aussi, j'espère que ça va bien. Mon meilleur ami. Will, mon meilleur ami. C'est pas Willy la baleine, ça?
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building.
What?
Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen. And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom
Bonne game,
meant
CMS.
nothing.
Bonne game.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Qu'est-ce que je fais? Je vais là-dedans, genre? Je pense que j'ai pas le choix. Voir le flow, j'avoue, hein? 5.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
L'écran d'Evil Look qui a travaillé. Là, j'imagine on a fait la fin que tout le monde. C'est comme.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen.
On dirait quasiment de faire la portal.
And Stanley was happy.
C'est drôle pareil, hein? Si tu suis toutes les indications, le narrateur te fait sortir de là, genre, pis c'est la bonne fin, genre. C'est quoi? Succès, terminer le jeu, obtenir votre premier succès. Ok. Eh ben voilà, on est revenu au point de départ.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Pour vrai, là, c'est où quoi? Je me demande vraiment si on appuie sur le bouton on à la fin. Faudrait voir.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Y'a pas de chiffre cette porte-là, c'est bien drôle.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find... Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Oui, je me rappelle de ça. Je sais pas pourquoi je me rappelle de ça, mais je me rappelle.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow.
Je pense qu'il
Just an
s'énerve
empty
qu'ils sont
broom
restés là.
closet. No reason to still be here.
No joke, je pense qu'il va s'énerver qu'on reste là, genre.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Sweet FA.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Aïe aïe, ok. Attends une minute, je pense que...
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Je pense qu'on peut rester là vraiment longtemps, genre. Puis il va s'énerver, une affaire de même.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
Ben, Christy, c'est ça que je veux! Je veux la fin avec le placard, moi.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Pourquoi? J'ai jamais... Non! J'ai jamais fait ça!
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, When you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
On bougera pas d'ici. Imagine un GM de Donjons et Dragons qui, parce que suit pas son histoire, commence à dire que ton pseudo est laid pis change la background. Genre. C'est tout? Je sais pas s'il y a une fin pour vrai. Oh! Ah, c'est moi qui ai appuyé. Ah, il veut vraiment plus rien savoir. Est-ce qu'on sort? Il y a sûrement quelque chose. On peut pas sauter, non? Ça change tout, mais on peut ouvrir, fermer la porte. Il reste un petit 10 minutes là pour voir. Je sais pas, y a-tu quelqu'un d'entre vous qui se rappelle de ça? Je me rappelais qu'on pouvait aller là. Mais là, il m'a mis le doute en disant à la fin, ouais, c'est ça, tu vas pouvoir dire à tes amis que t'as fait la fin avec le placard. Mais admettons qu'il l'a vraiment mis. Parle! Je pense le reste du stream là en just chatting déguisé. Écoute, je me pose vraiment la question, genre. Je me pose vraiment la question. Je me souviens plus s'il y a d'autres. Moi non plus! Mais imagine qu'il y avait pas d'autre chose, mais dans la version Deluxe, ils ont mis de quoi? Pour justement donner une fin où t'es dans le placard. Ok, checkez bien ça, ok? Je vais sortir puis je vais revenir voir si ça s'énerve.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you. You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
Il veut rien savoir, on dirait. Ok, on va continuer. On va continuer, mais... C'est louche. C'est louche. Ouais, il me boude, hein? Ok.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ok. Qu'est-ce qu'on devrait faire, genre? Est-ce qu'on devrait aller dans le bureau du boss? Est-ce que je devrais rentrer le mauvais numéro? Est-ce que je devrais prendre l'ascenseur peut-être qu'il fallait pas prendre? Tu peux pas ouvrir les portes? Non, c'est ça. Quand t'arrives dans une zone, ça veut dire comme le truc est fini. C'est comme ça que ça joue un peu, Elias. Ok, checkez bien ça. On va aller en haut. Ah, il y a des salles de bain. Ok. C'est ça, exactement. Il y a tellement de choix, tu peux diverger. Là. Tu peux faire ce que tu veux. Comme, regardez, j'aurais pu aller dans le bureau du boss, mais là, regardez. Tout à l'heure, on a vu ça. Je vais aller en bas. Petite bossa nova, là. Musique d'ascenseur. Je sais pas où est-ce qu'on s'en va, mais on s'en va vraiment loin. Je sais vraiment pas, j'ai fait par en bas, là. Ben... Quoi? On va avoir le carnet. Admettons que la toune a fini, là, puis qu'on arrive vraiment quelque part. Peut-être c'est juste un Easter egg, avec la fameuse toune que, c'est comme, cette toune-là est connue en passant. Tu fais troll par le jeu, mais c'est tout le temps ça, c'est un fight avec le jeu, genre tout le long. La salle fait juste shaker finalement, c'est peut-être ça. C'est ça qui est Vera, c'est des fois, là, ça récompense aussi la patience du joueur, là. C'est excellent en VR, ce jeu-là. Peut-être pas ce jeu-là, mais le créateur de Stanley Parable, s'il fera un jeu en VR, qui essaye un peu de retourner le cerveau de quelqu'un, je pense que oui, ça pourrait faire un bon jeu. Faudrait que quelqu'un me chante dans les oreilles. Ah, m'a dit comme toi. C'est pas un ascenseur, c'est une sécheuse. Ça explique bien des choses. Ah ouais, il se passe rien, cet ascenseur-là. À moins qu'il faut encore attendre 10 minutes. C'est pas clair. C'est pas clair.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Donc juste cet appel était important pour nous. Bonsoir en passant. Salut l'étoile de la joie. Je suis pas patient. Ben oui, mais les gars, je sais pas que je suis pas patient, mais...
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Il va s'énerver encore.
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself, and Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Un code Easter egg? Peut-être que si on fait une autre branche de l'histoire, puis on a un autre code, peut-être qu'on peut avoir un autre code puis réutiliser ça. Oh! Si je m'en vais? Allô? Hein? Ah, je suis parti là. Là, je m'en vais là. Quoi? Ouais. C'est pas clair, hein? Une petite lampe de poche, quelque chose. Ah, je pense que c'est un mur, je suis pas sûr. Mais imaginez que ce gars-là fait un deuxième Stanley Parable, ok? Puis mettons, t'as une lampe de poche. Tu gardes des items sur toi pour d'autres runs. Là, ça débloquerait d'autres trucs dans d'autres runs, par exemple. Ça serait fou. C'est un mur, oui, je sais, mais je sais pas, là. Je viens de me rendre compte. Ok, là, qu'est-ce qu'on fait, là?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Seulement
Although
mais
this
préfère ça.
passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door
vrai?
behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Genre minute? Ouais, un genre
At
de
this
minute.
point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Oh shit!
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what
Il y a quelque
this
chose
life
ici, là.
is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Non! Non! Oh!
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Ben... Pardon? Le narrateur du narrateur!
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Ben, y a un plan! Ça, c'est mon bureau. Il y a quelque chose ici. Il y a quelque chose ici. Il y a un trou. Attends une minute. asti, c'est un bureau. C'est un musée. Ordinateur de Stanley. What the fuck? Plan du bureau. Ce plan vous montre le bureau du début. Le bureau au début de la partie. Le chemin entre le bureau de Stanley et les deux portes. Et le tout premier chemin conçu dans le jeu. Des sections ont été ajoutées pour modifier un cours de... C'est combien de fou, c'ti? Le jeu, il y a un musée! Il y a un musée dans le jeu, c'ti! Le couloir. Le rythme lors de la section d'ouverture est irréprochable. Ce couloir a été déplacé et modifié afin que le joueur soit sûr d'atteindre les deux portes au bon moment. The fuck? Les deux portes. Ces deux portes ouvertes constituent la toute première pierre du design, du game design de Stanley Parable. Une fois que cette salle a été créée, le reste du jeu a émergé à partir de ce point de départ. Comme une exploration de la construction opposée par cette pierre. Ok. Le bureau. C'est vraiment chef kiss. Ah, pour vrai, c'est fou, ça. Son de bouton. Ah, ils n'ont pas le même son. Remerciement. Ah, mais attends une minute, c'est-tu la fin? On est-tu mort? On est-tu mort? Ok. Bureau. On est-tu mort? Là? Pas sûr. Zone de guerre. What? On n'a pas été là? Au début du développement, nous avions imaginé une fin où Stanley se retrouve sur un champ de bataille contre des extraterrestres. Le jeu développerait sa propre intelligence. Quoi? Et partirait en guerre contre le narrateur. Nous avons réalisé peu après que c'était pousser la blague trop loin et que c'était peut-être trop plat par rapport au ton du jeu. Certains l'ont aussi vu comme une manière de nous moquer des amateurs de jeux de tir, ce qui n'était pas notre but. Wow! Wow! Email du narrateur. Après la deuxième bande annonce que nous avons publiée, nous avons demandé aux gens d'envoyer des questions par email au narrateur. Nous comptions nous en servir pour promouvoir encore le jeu, mais nous n'avions jamais trouvé vraiment comment les exploiter. Voici une section de ces emails. Les chiffres, c'est pas un code pour le code. J'ai aucune idée. Minuteur de l'appartement. Là, si on voit toutes les fins. C'est quoi cette affaire-là, là? Je suis dans la zone où ils montrent toutes les fins que j'ai. Option 1. Vous voyez, c'est ça, c'est genre tout. Asti, je suis en train de voir le. Faut pas que je regarde. Faut pas que je regarde. Attends, mais tu sais quoi? Non, faut pas que je regarde. T'es en train de montrer, genre, toutes les affaires qu'on peut faire. Hein? Il y a plein de fins qui vont être spoil. Ben, quoi, mais comment je fais pour parler? Bande-annonce. Nous avons publié 4 bandes-annonces lors du déroulement du jeu. Chacune destinée à dévoiler un peu de l'esprit du jeu. Voici la première. Hein? Ah, c'est la première bande-annonce en 2012. Dabarouette. Hein? Là, ça veut dire qu'il y avait une bande-annonce. Elle contient une série de pièces buggées et la voix du narrateur informant le joueur qu'il est en train de réparer une nouvelle version. Ok. Je te spoil. Ouais, mais là, je savais pas, moi, que je prenais la fin qui montrait le musée. C'est correct. Ça me dérange pas. Ça rajoute du charme encore plus. Fin de la liberté. Voici la fin de la liberté telle qu'elle apparaissait dans la bêta. Ah, regardons ça. Ça me dit son... Là, je suis content d'être ici, mais en même temps, genre, j'essaie de pas trop... Ah, exit! Ça, c'est où ce que... Attends une minute, on pourrait s'en aller par là. Trop de trucs. Ah ouais, c'est fou, là. Je pensais qu'on allait mourir. Je me suis dit, tank, toi. On va mourir, ça va être comique. Non. Il y a un autre narrateur. Fin de la liberté, ouais, ok. Avec l'image qui est à jour. L'horloge du bureau. Le bureau du chef. Ah! Ah! Regardez, il se passe des trucs, là. Il se passe des trucs, ça ressemble pas à ça, là. Oups. Ouais, je sais pas si moi non plus, il y a des trucs de rajouter, hein. Cette affaire-là. Ah, ouais.
Now, this elevator for sure will get him right back on track to where he was supposed to be.
Il y a des extraits des trucs qui ont jamais été dans le jeu final. Il y a des fins pas intégrées. Au pire, regarde s'il y a un truc dans le placard à balai. Ouais, peut-être. Je sais pas s'ils ont tant mis d'affaires. Regardez, on en revient dans la zone principale, là. Ah, c'est peut-être les fins, ça? Non, c'est des paysages. Mettons, je remonte là. Y'a-tu moyen d'arnaquer? Mais non, on est tombé. Ok. Je ne sais pas ça va être quoi les... Je sais pas si on va être capable de topper ça, mais j'ai l'impression de faire les meilleures fins jusqu'à maintenant. Ok, on a la fin de base, tu sais, qu'on l'a vu en deuxième. Mais là, on va voir quoi? La fin, genre Easter egg, genre? Eh ben... Ça, c'est la fin du truc.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No,
Salut Mirali.
perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you.
Ah!
Don't let time...
J'ai hésité. J'ai hésité.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting.
Sûr que ça aurait été
Perhaps he had
récompensé,
simply
le
missed a memo.
Hey, de mémoire, là, cette porte-là peut être ouverte. De mémoire, cette porte-là peut être ouverte. Je sais pas pourquoi. Je sais pas avec quoi.
Stanley went around touching every
Je peux
little
plus jouer
thing in the
jamais,
office,
t'imagines-tu?
but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Ok. Peut-être quand tu reviens. Je suis sûr qu'il se passe de quoi. Je suis sûr que cette porte-là, elle ouvre. Je sais pas pourquoi j'ai un souvenir de quelque chose. Je suis persuadé que cette porte-là, elle ouvre. Le bureau, les écrans, ok, attends une minute. Je peux interagir peut-être avec...
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
« 50 clics sur la porte. Sérieux?
No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
Sérieux? Une tendinite, la seule, ça peut ouvrir. Ça peut ouvrir. Vas-y du cœur. J'y mets du cœur, là. Vous m'avez dit que je suis parti trop vite, genre de la musique de l'ascenseur. C'est quoi qu'on regarde? Moi qui va ouvrir cette porte-là. Ou qui va peut-être juste avoir un achievement, je sais pas. Oh! Étoile de la joie, merci beaucoup pour les 200 bits! Très apprécié! La porte...
Petite blague du mercredi, si j'ai 7 pommes et je dois les diviser en 15, que dois-je faire? De la compote.
Comment ça, 400... La porte 417? Non, mais c'est la porte 430? C'est ça? Moi, ça me dérange pas que vous me guidez un peu, là, parce que j'ai déjà joué au jeu, mais je m'en rappelle plus. Donc, la porte 417? Mais pas ici, la 417?
Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437.
Ah! 36... Attends une minute. 437? Faut retourner en arrière. C'est encore plus drôle avec la série.
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
Et où? Et où la porte? Asti.
Now, back to door number 437.
Ok. Ok, j'y vais.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine?
Ouais, où? La maga...
All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
Ouais. Ok, ok. 417, ok. J'y retourne.
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk. Yes! This is great! You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go
Oui.
give me a few clicks on door 416.
Parfait. Et où la... Elle est là.
We've almost got it! Now the copy machine, do that one again!
Quand il parle comme ça, le monsieur il me fait pas à vous, hein, il est creep.
Finish it off, Stanley! 5 clicks on door 430! Yes!
Oh,
We
oui!
did it! Oh, wow.
Yes!
That felt amazing.
Vrai game.
You really earned it, Stanley. Nothing could hold you back. Yes, I'm very proud of how far we've come today. Just think, only a few minutes ago, you believed an achievement was worth 5 little clicks. Really now, what were you thinking?
Oh, que c'est bon ce jeu-là. J'ai mes achievements. C'est une double dose. J'ai tellement aimé jouer à ce jeu-là. À vous, hein? C'est vraiment un bon jeu. Bon, ok, là, faut se finir le
When Stanley
niaisage.
came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
On va aller à gauche encore. Ok, je vais vous expliquer pourquoi. On va essayer de rentrer le
Yet there
code.
was not a single
Écoutez bien
person
ça,
here
chat.
either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an... Oh no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
Parfait. Je fais mes petites affaires. il est vraiment stressé. Oh non, il retourne dans la... Il retourne dans le truc du concierge. Je suis plus capable. C'est la première fois que tu joues? Non, ça fait genre... J'ai joué à la sortie dans le temps. Puis j'ai des vagues souvenirs. Bon.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
J'ai envie d'aller en haut, ok? Parce que là, on a pris le escape, ok? Alors là, le escape, à la fin, est-ce qu'il y avait 2 possibilités? Moi, je suis mort. Est-ce qu'il y avait la possibilité de fermer le jeu? Puis d'avoir un commentaire étrange? J'en ai aucune idée. Mais là, ce que j'aimerais faire, c'est rentrer le code du boss. Mais faut se rappeler qu'il faut retourner là pour aller en bas, ok? Faites-moi là se rappeler si je l'oublie. C'est quoi déjà le code pour ouvrir le truc du boss? Parce que je veux l'écrire avant qu'il le dise, pour voir si ça va le faire chier. C'est quoi? C'est 45-28? C'est 28-45, ok, parfait. Puis là, j'aimerais ça appuyer sur le piton. Ça n'a pas marché tout à l'heure. Il se passe de quoi là-dedans, là? Mais je sais pas encore quoi. Mais Paul a dit que la toune était vraiment longue. Une des plus longues du jeu.
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Je savais que ça allait faire ça. Faire du bien, ça, le
Feeling
chat.
soothed
Ah, oui.
and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Ah, c'est que c'est bon. Pour vrai, c'est tellement bien écrit cette affaire-là, ça a aucun sens. Exactement, Benito. J'ai envie de faire la machine pour contrôler l'esprit. J'ai envie d'aller faire. Là, on a fait en sorte d'appuyer sur off. Là, j'aimerais ça appuyer sur on. Pour voir si on contrôle l'esprit de tout le
Stanley
monde.
walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place
pas aller vers le haut.
hold? Stanley thought to
C'est
himself.
ça qu'on fait. Attends, mais
Did he
qu'est-ce que tu
have
veux dire
the
vers le haut?
strength to find out?
Quel haut, mettons? À partir de quel moment?
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers.
Il y a un easter egg si j'attends sa troisième plateforme, celle-là?
Reduced to
Celle-là?
images on a screen, and
Ou
Stanley,
l'autre?
one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
L'ascenseur avec le piton rouge. C'est quoi? On va peut-être essayer un autre piton la prochaine fois, ça me fait penser. J'attends ici, là, puis je fais rien. Ou faut que j'appuie sur le piton? Que les barrières se réouvrent. Oui, il faut appuyer, ok. J'attends là, puis je fais rien. Pour vrai, il faut vraiment genre explorer le jeu à fond.
Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Là, j'attends. J'ai aucune idée qu'est-ce qui va arriver. Ça prend un petit temps? Ok. Je suis pas pressé. Pas pressé? Oh shit. Dites-moi rien de plus, là. Si vous me dites d'attendre ici, je vais attendre. J'attends, je m'assis. Ça se trouve, j'ai jamais vu ça, genre dans le temps. Faut voir si la grille est ouverte. Ben, elle est ouverte, la grille? Autre niaise, y'a rien. Quand vous dites la grille, là, je peux-tu revenir en arrière? Check, on dirait qu'il y a un truc là-bas. Oh!
Vrai gamer.
Falbook! Merci beaucoup pour ton sommet rendu un vrai gamer! Très apprécié!
Ça, c'est du vrai gaming.
Tellement con! Oh, mais c'est un secret! J'ai vu le cul! C'est tellement con! Ça vaut-tu la peine, là? Je peux bouger ou il va y avoir de quoi? Imagine, elle s'en repasse une loupe. Une loupe. Y'a plus rien, ok, parfait. Merci de l'info. c'est quand même comique.
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's.
C'est un secret!
Vrai gamer.
Vasecto! Merci beaucoup pour ton sang. Maintenant, t'es rendu un vrai gamer!
Had he truly
C'est un
spent
secret.
his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
On va être chill. On va être chill après. Je vais mettre on. Parce qu'on a fait off tout à l'heure. Là. Bonne nuit au chien. Faites beau rêve, mon homme. C'était bon, ça. C'est pas pire, hein?
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go.
4, 5.
But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch
Jaune.
you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first.
Shit!
So you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
Allô? Je pense qu'on... Je sais pas si on peut l'arrêter. Calique! Bon. Il y a sûrement quelque chose qu'on peut faire avec cette fin-là.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Je vais encore aller là. Cette fois-ci, on n'ira pas dans le bureau du boss. On va descendre en bas des escaliers.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office.
Il l'a
hoping he
barré!
might find an answer there.
Il l'a barré! Asti, ça, je m'en rappelais plus! Il l'a barré, je peux vraiment plus aller dans la salle des ballets! Il l'a barré! Salut, ça. Calique, il a condamné à la porte, le gars!
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
No.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming.
What the fuck?
Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Colique!
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Huh?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
C'était un sacré monologue, cette affaire-là. C'est un sacré monologue, genre un petit épisode schizophrénique dans le parking du sous-sol de la bâtisse qui est là. Finalement, on n'est pas en train de tourner. Finalement, on est à l'extérieur puis on crie comme un malade. What? Salut Kurosawa en passant. Désolé, j'ai manqué des messages. C'était fou. Salut Max Roney. Alors, c'est pas Gmod, c'est de Stanley Parable. C'est un jeu qui utilise le Source Engine. Et là, c'est un remaster de... Ça va
All
pas
of his
10 ans,
co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
mais... Psychose,
Stanley
exactement.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
Exactement.
memo.
Un mode qui est devenu un jeu. Puis là, aujourd'hui, il est remaster, le jeu. Puis je pense, sans me tromper, que oui, il doit encore tourner sur le Source. Ah! Quoi? Du nouveau contenu? Pardon?
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Mais non, mais il a bloqué la porte! C'est ça le nouveau contenu? Ah, si, il a bloqué la porte! Il a bloqué la porte! Du nouveau contenu! Vous voyez, comme ça, c'était pas dans le jeu de base, je pense. New content, j'ai jamais vu ça.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
Plus.
Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Oh, ils ont ramené le narrateur. Ils ont ramené le narrateur. Ils ont ramené le narrateur. Oui, je veux voir le nouveau contenu. C'est tellement bon.
Yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Oh, fuck off.
Is it broken? What's going on
Il y en a pas de nouveau contenu.
Should we be moving somewhere or... oh, there we go.
Okay.
All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Moi non plus, je suis tellement prêt, là. My body's ready, man. My body's ready. Je vais vers une terre inconnue, là.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Ouais.
Mostly tedious.
Ouais, j'avoue,
it's as if them... Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Gimme the content, Stanley.
Ça aurait été drôle, avoue. Engage le narrateur pour que ce soit lui qui lit tes messages dans le chat. Ah, mais c'est un anglais.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
On peut enfin sauter dans le jeu, on fait pas. C'est bon, là. Ça, c'est bon jeu, là. Oh, on était limité en saut. J'ai utilisé tous les sauts que je pouvais. Ah, tabarnak! C'était pas écrit sur le papier. Circle bro. Ben non, mais même dans le cercle.
Is that it?
Ben ouais, c'est tout.
Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else.
Ben oui, j'espère. J'espère qu'il y a d'autres choses. C'est bon jeu, à vous. Attendez une minute, là, ils vont sûrement mettre un gun.
Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley?
Okay, man.
This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Oh. Attends une minute, c'est... On n'a jamais été là. On n'a jamais été là. Oui, ça, c'est l'ancien bureau.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
Ouais, pourquoi pas. Coffee nuts. Nuts. Oh non. Oh non, moi pas.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Je suis down. Je suis vraiment down. Pour vrai. Qu'est-ce que cette affaire-là? Oh. C'est-tu Skyrim? Ben. C'est quoi cette affaire-là?
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all
Les prix
meant
qu'on gagnait.
something. Oh, the waste.
C'est vrai, ils ont gagné plein de prix, hein. Oh, ça me rend nostalgique. Ils ont été nominés. Debut de game. Game innovation. Histoire. Ah, le New York Times pour de vrai? Los Angeles Times. Mais, c'est donc bien drôle. On active cette fin-là, puis ça te donne. Beta in progress. Je pense que le 4e prix, c'est pas le leur. Ah oui! Ils se sont pas fait voler, genre. Ils se sont pas fait... pas fait voler, mais ils ont pas perdu face... The Last of Us! Oui, c'est ça! Il est écrit The Last of Us, puis ils ont mis un morceau de tape dessus! Ils ont perdu face à The Last of Us, puis ils ont mis un morceau de tape! Ok, bro. Est-ce que c'est bon?
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created."
C'est vrai que c'était vraiment
Did
un
you hear
spécial.
that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Oh non! Oh non! Ils ont juste mis 1 heure d'ascenseur. Ah, c'est ça? 1 heure d'ascenseur? Eh ben. Oh. Pardon. On me disait non, il n'y a pas 2 fins. Là. Les 2 portes. Regardons ça. Ça ressemble un peu au musée, hein? Ils ont vraiment fait une version physique qui ressemble à un vieux logiciel sur ordinateur? Je m'étonnerais pas d'eux autres.
Here's another moving passage,
Source.
this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
C'est bon! C'est tellement bon, mais quel jeu qui fait ça pour lui? Personne. Personne. Carpet Picture? Genre, what the fuck? Il y a vraiment, genre, des trucs avec des textures de tapis. Dumb Famous. Je sais même pas c'est quoi Dumb Famous. C'est qui Dumb Famous? C'est un gars qui recommande? Comment je fais pour y aller? Comment je fais pour aller là? Je peux pas sauter, j'ai utilisé tous mes sauts. Hein? Vous ne pouvez pas sauter. Mais ouais, mais c'est ça l'affaire, je sais que je peux pas sauter. Comment je fais? The Serious Room, ça me dit quelque chose. C'est quoi je fais? Non! C'est une joke encore, ça? C'est quoi cette affaire-là? Imagine 9 ans entre les deux jeux, avec 3 ans de repousser, puis dire « Ouais, l'original était déjà bon. » Si tu triches, tu vas à cette room-là. Pour vrai? Tu triches? Ok, j'imagine qu'on peut pas y aller.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Non! Non! C'est exactement ça.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Et je savais que ça s'en allait vers là. Ils ont vraiment mis le commentaire d'un gars qui a pas aimé le jeu. Genre, what? C'est incroyable. Unfunny? Wow. Il va tuer quelqu'un, genre. Oh non. C'est Half-Life 2, ça? Je m'en rappelle plus. Ben, ça utilise des assets de Half-Life 2, mais j'ai des doutes, c'est sûr. Je pense qu'on va encore plus bas, là. C'est des mauvais souvenirs, ça. Oh non.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Oh dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks are my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Oh! Non! Non! Salut Firefighter. Ça serait vraiment difficile à expliquer. On a des choix à faire, des directions dans lesquelles on s'en va. Puis il y a plein de fins, c'est humoristique, c'est... Puis là on est dans la fin du... On est comme dans la fin. On a pris un chemin qui a rapport avec le DLC. Ben le DLC, le nouveau jeu, le remaster. Puis là ça nous montrait des bonnes critiques du jeu, les prix qu'ils ont gagnés. Puis là on est comme dans les... On est dans une sorte de descente en enfer.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot.
No!
I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you with just... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button.
Je peux plus
The
appuyer.
minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? Stanley! Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone.
Il n'y a pas vraiment de but bâton l'opener.
Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just
On va passer un an, genre on va finir un petit vieux. C'est comme, tu sais, le film avec Adam Sandler, là, Click, là, je sais pas trop quoi.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time, I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past.
Skip. Allô? Oh! Penses-tu que j'ai tué le narrateur? Bonne nuit, Killam. Faites de beaux rêves. Il est mort, tu penses? Non. Hein? Y a-tu le feu? Alors là, j'ai tombé. Ah, titi. Je sais pas combien d'années s'est passé ici. T'as minute.
they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world.
Ça m'intéresse pas, là. Je skip. Si je suis en train de cuisiner, j'ai fait le saut. Ben, j'imagine. Je sais pas si Alexis, tu t'en vas te coucher, mais bonne nuit. Peut-être une réponse à...
The end is never the end, 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 is never the...
Shit! Shit! Je pense... Je sais pas combien d'années il se passe, mais... Là, tout est vraiment... La bâtisse est en train de tomber à terre, là. Le toit est fini! Il doit s'être passé genre au-dessus de 100 ans? Je peux pas croire. Il y a des plantes, là, pis tout. Non, c'est ça? C'est quoi cette affaire-là? Dans le doute, skip. Ah, vous voyez, dans le doute, c'est correct? Il fait soleil. Peut-être qu'à force d'appuyer sur skip, la bâtisse va lâcher. Je sais pas, ça fait combien de temps, Simonac, mais c'est impressionnant. Oh! Vous voyez, la vie a repris son chemin. Tu revenais en arrière? Ok. Ah, on dirait que c'est pire à chaque fois. Ok. J'ai la chienne, là. Ah, ben vous voyez, il n'y en aura plus de problème. On est où, là? Oh, tabarnak! Je me skip. On peut plus skip. On peut plus skip. Le bouton est brisé. Ben bravo. Les dents d'une? Il n'y a plus d'eau, il n'y a plus de plantes. Il reste par exemple la bâtisse qui était là. Je pense qu'on aurait dû s'arrêter quand il y avait les plantes. Je pense que tu peux mener une belle vie, là. Je sais pas ce que je m'en vais, mais ça a l'air magnifique. Il y a une dune au loin. Ah, non, c'est fini. Il y a peut-être 10 000 ans, peut-être plus. Ah, ok! C'est Mad Max, le truc. Je pense que c'est même plus Mad Max, c'est genre le... Il y a plus rien, là.